Hello, everybody. Welcome into Talking Fitchburg on this Thursday, June 23rd, 2022. I'm Jeremy Crosby. Hope you're having a wonderful day or had a great day, whatever you're doing. There were plenty of activities to do in and across the Fitchburg today or in the town of Madison. Got the Fun of the Park still going on until 6:30 tonight. That's where I am right now. If you're watching this at 6, if you're re-watching this, well, hi. Still here and still ready to bring you a great show. We got a busy show for you as well. We'll be checking with our friends at the Better Business Bureau talking about new college grad scams. Yeah, if you got a college graduate, we want to give you some info on possible scams so you don't get scammed as a new college student. Sort of like your repayment, like loans. That's a big one for scams and college students. So we'll have Tiffany Schultz here, Better Business Bureau, breaking that down for us. Plus, Katherine Snyder is back from the Fitchburg Historical Society. She'll be interviewing a board member there. We'll be talking about the obituary section of their organization and the collection that they have of them. You've got a breakdown of that coming up in just a little bit of time. I love when she takes over the show. It makes my life so much easier, and she does a great job at it, too. So we'll have that coming up for you. Let's tell you about some events coming up here this weekend. You've got the Music Theater of Madison at the Public Library. This is happening on the 25th from 11 to noon. It's a Saturday, and it says here a music children's book, or find me a children's music book. Have you ever heard a student say they want to go to a school but feel like they can't see and heard confident love like truly belong? Well, JR has felt that way at many schools, but things began to change when he stumbled upon Magical Classroom and peeks through the window. Bring your creativity and your superpowers and join us for a read aloud and dance and sing-along book from author Alex Dean. That will be happening this weekend here, 25th at 11 a.m. Sounds like a lot of fun. Also happening next week on Tuesday, you've got Mr. Steve Comedy. Mr. Steve, sounds cool. The master facilitator of fun will entertain you from his original side of splitting audience participation songs to his silly magic and wacky balloon creation. Sounds like a lot of fun, 2 to 3 p.m. at the Fitchburg Public Library. So glad to have all those events back. It's awesome. All right, turning our attention to protecting yourself against Medicare fraud, a presentation that will be happening at the Fitchburg Senior Center. It says, did you know that Medicare loses billions, yes, billions of dollars each year due to fraud, errors, and abuse? Think it can't happen to you? Think again. It happens in Wisconsin all the time. Stop out for the Wisconsin Senior Medicare Patrol as they talk about the different Medicare scams and beyond. This will be happening on Monday, June 27th at 1 p.m. Learn more about how you can protect yourself against Medicare-related fraud and scams. It is a drop-in event. No need to register. And if you want to register for this one, though, registration for the summer esports season is coming to an end. Yeah, it says registration for our summer program. This is with the rec department. Is coming to an end. And it's only $10. Don't miss out on the chance to compete in games you love. There are a bunch of them, and they also have prizes that you can compete for. So get yourself signed up, or your kiddos, for the esports. And if you're getting outside and enjoying the summer months, make sure you do it with suntan lotion. Yeah, it's that time of year, and you need to protect your skin. Enjoying the summer months while protecting your skin from the sun is a must. Don't forget to reapply sunscreen as well. Put it on again if you stay out in the sun for more than 2 hours, or after swimming, sweating, or toweling off. Yeah, good to reapply and make that happen. And I want to remind you of this, a fun free weather radios. There's access to free weather radios from Access to Independence, which supports Dane County Department of Human Services. They're giving away free emergency weather radios to deaf and hard of hearing individuals living in Dane County. Radios come equipped with an alarm, radio, bed, shaker, and easy instruction to set up. All you do is call the number on the screen there or send an email. All right, that does it for me. Coming up next, we open up our digest with Better Business Bureau and new college scams. Next, right here on Talking Fitchburg.
You could be spreading the coronavirus without realizing you have it. So follow guidance from authorities where you live and do your part. It's important to limit in-person interaction with anyone outside of your immediate household, but phone and video chat are safe ways to connect. It's also important to limit any social gathering. This advice applies to people of any age, including teens and younger adults. Visit coronavirus.gov for the latest information.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining today from the Better Business Bureau, we have Tiffany Schultz here. Tiffany, welcome back to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me today.
Thank you for being on the show. And today we're talking about those new college grads. They're finishing up college. They're ready to take on life and debt and everything else in between. But that does give way to some common scams. And actually, DATCP reported uptick in college scams here in Wisconsin. So it is a real thing for sure. And we're going to talk about a whole bunch of scams that grads could face here as they start this new life of theirs, if you will, in the new world. But first and foremost, just overall, what is BBB seeing when it comes to graduation or new grads and scams?
As a college grad, it's super exciting. You're starting your life. You may be looking for a job. Maybe you're looking for a new place to live, but scammers are capitalizing on that experience and they're going to target you. And you need to be aware of what can happen. Might not happen, but you need to be aware. And one of the things that scammers do is reach out to students with student loans and offer them loan forgiveness opportunities. You may receive an email about it, a phone call. Maybe you even see a pop-up on social media or as you're browsing the web. And some of these companies are legitimate, but they don't really go ahead and disclose all of their terms and everything that's related to the loan forgiveness opportunities. And other ones that offer loan forgiveness are complete scammers, just looking to get your financial information or your personal information. If you are targeted with a loan forgiveness opportunity, everything that's loan forgiveness related can be found on studentaid.gov. So any program that's out there will go ahead and be for public viewing. You can take a look at all of those details online. And usually it's not going to cost you an application fee to pay or give any personal information because what these scammers do is they go ahead and they get your personal information, they get your credit card information, you never hear from them again. So be aware.
Well, and there's three things that I have highlighted here on my notes. It's unsolicited, email, phone call, or text. Unsolicited has got to be the key here. Yet you didn't expect it. Why are you getting it?
Unsolicited is always a key word for any type of scam, especially this one. If you didn't reach out for information, the government is not going to reach out to you to give you this opportunity.
Well, and how would a company know? You know, like I just laugh when I get and I've gotten these calls and I just laugh. I'm like, how would you even know that was at college? Like that should be a red flag right there. They don't. Speaking of unsolicited messages and another scam that has to do with unpaid tuition. Ugh, not cool.
Scammers reach out to recent college grads and, they could be buying lists like any other company does of recent college grads. And they'll reach out to you once again, unsolicited. They may even reach out to the parents and they say that there's some unpaid tuition that needs to be paid immediately. Otherwise, the student's degree is going to be revoked. So once again, unsolicited, they're preying on your emotions because you just completed 4 years of college. You have this degree, you want to keep your degree. The school isn't going to revoke your college degree because of unpaid tuition. In cases like that, usually the financial institution or the school will reach out to you via mail for their first attempt. And if you are contacted by the scam, reach out directly to your school bursar office and verify if indeed there is unpaid tuition. And if there is, make arrangements for payment terms.
And report these things. Please report them to BBB or Department of Ag, Trade, Consumer Protection here in Wisconsin for sure. We're going to change gears here because another, obviously a big thing getting out of college, if it's not already set up, it's job hunting time. It's getting the job and getting work experience. And that opens up to, of course, more scamming. Tell us about job-related scams.
Employment scams are the third most riskiest scams. So college grads need to be aware of what's happening out there in the marketplace. So you go ahead, you find a job online that you want to apply for, and you're offered maybe a virtual interview, maybe no interview at all, and you're hired on the spot for an easy entry-level job, such as customer service or a virtual assistant. and you go ahead, no job interview, no application. You're just hired on the spot here, and the scammer hires you. They take advantage of your inexperience. So they send you forms to complete for direct deposit. They may even send you a check to set up your home office and then give the funds back to them that you don't use. What you don't know is it's a fake check. So if you are applying for jobs online, make sure that the company really exists. A good way to do that is to go to their website, see if that job is listed. If you find it on a third-party website, we're all familiar with those job hunting websites. So make sure that that company exists and that job is real before you even go ahead and apply, so you don't have to deal with it on the back end.
Yeah, just don't assume that it's a legit company. Yeah, 100%. That, I think that's the key here is when you're doing your research, you got to do your research, or you will become another statistic, and it just doesn't end there. It could be a lot of different things that happen to you. So a big warning here. Three great things to talk about today. And if people want to learn more about this, Tiffany, reporting it, just getting the facts about it, where can they do so?
If you're a target of the scam, we'd love you to report it to us at bbb.org/scam tracker. If you'd like to find more information about these college grad scams and more, you can head on over to bbb.org.
All right, Tiffany, thank you so much for the great information. Appreciate it. And we'll check back with you later this month.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. Again, go to bbb.org to find the latest information and check out that scam tracker if you haven't. It's so cool. And it's interesting to see what's out there for scams. So take a quick break. More to come. You're watching Talking Fitchburg.
See on page 4 that the projections need to be blood. Next Thursday?
Seriously? Thursday? Can't do that.
This is really inconvenient.
I have yoga that day. I have no time for this. So.
I can't do Thursday, but I can do Friday.
Disasters don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
Type 2 diabetes can have a big impact on your life, but how can it be prevented? Well, the first step is knowing if you have prediabetes, a serious medical condition that puts you at high risk for type 2 diabetes. 1 in 3 American adults has prediabetes, but more than 80% don't know they have it. The good news is, prediabetes can be reversed, and for many people, healthy changes in their daily routine can make a big difference. Take the 1-minute risk test today at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg in our guest segment, and today we check in with our friends at the Fitchburg Historical Society. Katherine Snyder is going to be interviewing one of her board members, talking about the obituary collection at the Historical Society. Take a look. Do that one again. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg, now transitioning into the guest segment, and today's guest is the Fitchburg Historical Society. Katherine Snyder is back with another interview. She does a great job with this, and she's going to be checking in with one of her board members from the Fitchburg Historical Society, talking about the obituary collection. Very interesting stuff. I had a chance to listen in, and you can now.
This is Katherine Snyder from the Fitchburg Historical Society, and we are continuing our monthly interviews with Fact TV for Talking Fitchburg. Today we have Diane Reynolds from the Fitchburg Historical Society Board, who is our archivist with obituaries. So she has a key role to play in keeping track of our obituaries, and also making sure that these things are put on our website. So Diane, thank you for being here this afternoon. Could you just describe what's available regarding obituaries on the Fitchburg Historical Society website?
Well, what we have on our website is the obituaries database. We started out collecting obituaries, just clipping them from the newspaper, or we received some from other people from Ancestry or their own personal collections, and we put them in a binder, which we still have the binder, but a couple of years ago, the obituaries that we had were scanned in, and so they're available digitally. So that's what you see on our website when you go to the obituary page. And then You will also find links to the Find a Grave website, so you can try to look up where people are buried. And then there's a link to what's called the Fitchburg Historical Society Obituary Database, which has a lot of information. It's actually a table, and it has the name of the person who's deceased, when they were born, where they were born, if known, when they died, where they died, what other names might be included in the obituary, you know, relatives, friends, that type of thing. Who published the obituary? Many of our obituaries do come from the Madison newspapers. So, you know, either the Capital Times or the Wisconsin State Journal, but not all of them. And we're finding more and more now that we're also going and accessing obituaries that are on the funeral home websites, because many times they're more extensive than what might appear in the newspaper. The date that the obituary was published in the newspaper, and then if known, where they are buried. We're also finding more and more that people are being cremated, possibly more so than being buried. And so there's not always any information in the obituary about that. So that's really helpful. And then in terms of who we've selected to include in our obituary database, we're looking for people who were born in Fitchburg, possibly grew up in Fitchburg, people who have lived in Fitchburg, and also people who worked in Fitchburg, because we have a number of businesses. In our collection, we have people who worked at Blaney Farm, who worked at Playcon, which is one of the businesses in Fitchburg, and other businesses. So we also look for that type of thing. So that's what we have in our obituary collection.
That's great. It's so extensive in terms of what you're sending out your net pretty widely to find out things about Fitchburg people who have been connected in some way to Fitchburg, that their obituaries are included. Well, Diane, how might people then make use of these obituaries?
Well, if you go to the database, it's an alphabetical listing. And so you can just go to, you know, a selection, say A through L or whatever. I don't remember what the exact designations are, but you could just scroll through and look at the obituaries, or if you're looking for a particular person, you know, you can check to see if we have it in our obituary listing. We always encourage people, if they're from the Fitchburg area, if their ancestors lived in Fitchburg, you know, and if they have obituaries that they want to share, we're always looking for more. And that's how you would go about accessing the database.
So what sorts of information might be maybe interesting, surprising, valuable when looking at these obituaries?
Well, the obituaries include a wide range of information. They might include the cause of death. They might include the church affiliation, if there's any. They might tell you where the person is buried. They might tell you who attended the funeral, especially if people came from out of town. So you might be able to track other relatives who were living in other places. It might tell you what community activities the persons were involved in. For example, some areas had old settlers associations. It might tell you that. It might tell you what community groups they belong to. It might tell you their political affiliation. And it also might tell you whether or not they served in the military. And if they did serve in the military, what was it during a time of peace, or was it a particular conflict like World War II?
So really, there's like a storehouse of information possible that might lead you to other sources of information, especially if you're doing maybe genealogy, to find out even more about this person. They're kind of a touchstone for maybe other access to other information.
Right. And I looked up one, there are, Kinney's in Fitchburg, and Michael Kinney's obituary tells when he came to the United States, which was 1845, and he came from Ireland, and 1845 is part of the potato famine years. It says that he was one of the earliest Dane County settlers. He bought a farm in Fitchburg, so you could, based on that, you could look for land records from Dane County. You could look for church records, that type of thing. So it can lead you off in many different directions.
Right. It's like being almost a detective to have one thing lead to another and pick up the clues. Dan, I'm wondering if you could share maybe a story or two that really stands out to you from the Fitchburg obituary collection that you found, particularly maybe interesting.
Well, one of the things that I looked at was Bill Stoneman's obituary, and Bill was very active in the town. He was a farmer, but he was also the town assessor. And in reading his obituary, you get a lot of the history of Fitchburg. I was quite amazed. It was quite extensive. It talks about how he helped establish the Fitchburg Memorial Day service and the Fitchburg Farmers Market. So it's really interesting to look at those things. I also looked at a couple earlier obituaries. The Berry family was, they were one of the earlier settlers in Fitchburg. And the one for Bridget Berry actually talks about how her father and her brother cut stone on their farm for construction of St. Raphael's Cathedral. I'm not sure how else you would ever find that information, except that, read her obituary and there it is. And then there was also one for Amanda Dean, who had quite a kind of sad life in some ways. She was widowed twice. One of her sons died in the Civil War, but it also talks about her father was a Revolutionary War soldier. Her two brothers served in the War of 1812. And that kind of information could lead you to asking for pension records or military service records. So it's really kind of amazing what you might find. And actually in our obituary database, we have some from the 1800s, many more from the 1900s, and of course into the 2000s. So we have quite a range from the 1800s to the current day.
Great. Treasure stories to find,
for sure.
to uncover.
For sure.
So on just looking at you in your personally, Diane, so what drew you into volunteering for this particular role on the board to be the archivist for the obituaries?
Well, I grew up in Fitchburg, so I knew a lot of the names in Fitchburg. And I have an interest in history and genealogy. I was familiar with what some of the other local historical societies were doing in terms of their collections and knew that they were collecting obituaries. And I started working with Carol Kinney and Winnie Lacey on having a specific obituary collection. I mean, they had some family information that might have included obituaries, but we didn't have a unique obituary collection. And so we started working on that, and it's just grown.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah.
And so for your own family history, have you found some interesting things through obituaries, like in your own family? Do you want to share anything about that?
Well, recently I tracked down a very distant relative who lives in Montana, who is related through my great-great-grandmother on my mother's side, whose his great-great-grandmother was a sister to my great-great-grandmother. And my great-great-grandmother unfortunately passed away at a very young age. But his great-great-grandmother lived to be quite aged. And, it was kind of interesting, like, how did she end up in Montana from Wisconsin? And also the fact that, I was able to track down this gentleman who kind of was a little surprised to hear from me, I think so. But that's okay. And then I also found Obituary helpful because for one of my great-grandmothers, Dane County either never had or misplaced her death certificate. So we knew the year that she had died, but we didn't have any clue about exactly when she died. And I was able to track down an obituary and find that information. So, I mean, you're going to find when you start looking.
That's great. The stories are buried there, the records, some ways that you can further your search. There's just all kinds of things that you can find from these obituaries that are of value. Diane, thank you so much. Just a wealth of information on why obituaries are important and what can be found there, and that the Fitchburg Historical Society has such depth in terms of the obituaries that are available, readily accessible just by looking online at fitchburghistory.org, and there you go, under people, and obituaries are right there. So thank you for doing this collecting through the years that you've done that. That takes a lot of dedication, but I can also tell that you enjoy it and learn so much in doing those collections for us. So we appreciate you coming to share that information with us this afternoon, and we hope people will access the website and enjoy it.
I hope so. I think they'll find it interesting.
Absolutely. Thanks, Diane.
All right, I want to thank Katherine Snyder and her guests for coming out and sharing the great information. Remember, you can check out the Historical Society's website and their Facebook page, YouTube page as well. They have all the interviews we've done with them, and you can learn more about the Historical Society even by stopping in at the library at their location. They're on the second floor there, and they've got a great collection of historical items for Fitchburg. They do a great job. All right, we're going to take a quick break, wrap up the show next. You're watching Talking Fitchburg.
Como padre, todos los días son un desafío. Y hay que estar ahí presentes. No importa lo cansado que uno esté, hay que estar ahí presentes para ellos. Cuando los niños aprenden algo nuevo, es ese momento mágico y especial. Y creo que presenciar eso ese momento es mi favorito.
The central and midwestern U.S. averages more than 850 tornadoes each year, and lately, the number of floods has been rising in the region too. So chances are, there will be more twisters and floods near here again. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are, you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has all the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Wrapping up the show for the day, I want to thank everybody who joined us today, including Tiffany Schultz from Better Business Bureau and Katherine Snyder with her great interview talking about the obituaries collection at the Fitchburg Historical Society. I always want to say Senior Center, but Historical Society. They do great work over there. And again, if you haven't checked out their displays and their setup at the library, that's where they're located, in the library on the second floor. You need to stop in. They got some great information about Fitchburg, and I like history, so I love checking that out. And you should check their website too. Got a great collection of not just the obituary, a ton of stuff on there. So we appreciate Katherine's time for that. As we wrap up, remember you can stay connected with Fact TV, and we got a lot of historical stuff on there. Say that 10 times fast. So check it out. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you back here tomorrow.